This is homegrown Christianity. Long before it was the religion of the Roman Empire, it was the religion here in Ethiopia. Ethiopia was the first Christian kingdom in the world.
Something is happening in the world of history, and it involves a gospel that was never meant to reach your ears. Mel Gibson is pulling back the curtain on a secret that has been kept by Ethiopian monks who never let their land be colonized.
He's a Merigeta, which is similar to a monk in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. His job is to preserve ancient manuscripts by meticulously rewriting them as they originally appeared.
These monks spent their lives copying words that talk about spiritual battles and the future of humanity in a way that is honestly terrifying. People are obsessed with finding the truth, and this might be the biggest discovery ever made. Get this, because the message is a lot more direct than you think. Ancient secrets scaring every church leader. Mel Gibson made a statement that is moving the ground under the feet of many believers today. The actor and director, who everyone knows for his movie about the Passion, is revealing something that has experts in a panic. Deep inside the Ethiopian Bible are words from Jesus that were left out of the book on your nightstand on purpose. These are not minor things or just different ways of phrasing a sentence. We are talking about entire chapters of teachings and scary warnings that Jesus gave after he rose again. These words were so strong they were hidden for nearly 2,000 years. What could be so intense that the church kept it a secret for all these centuries? Why does Ethiopia, which is a land that was never taken over by other countries, hold the only full record of what was truly said? Gibson is opening a door that many people wanted to stay shut forever. If you want to know the truth they have been hiding, you need to look at how Ethiopia kept these books safe. This is a key detail because the written word was always very important to them. For almost 2,000 years, most people have been told the exact same story. Jesus came back and then left for heaven. But in the mountains of Africa, very old books tell a much deeper version of that story. The Ethiopian church has one of the biggest and oldest Bibles in the entire world. Some of these books were never allowed in the Roman Church. They include stories of what Jesus taught after he returned, which shows his message did not just stop at the tomb. These old writings were kept safe for hundreds of years by monks who copied every single letter by hand. They believed these words must never be lost to time. In these books, Jesus did not stop teaching his followers. He shared secrets and gave warnings to help them get ready for what was coming. One of the most important books is called the Book of the Covenant. It says it records everything Jesus said after he rose, but before he went back to heaven. In this book, he does not speak like a simple teacher. He speaks like the king of the entire universe. He tells his followers to go out and build a kingdom, but not with swords or fighting. Instead, he says a special spirit will be their power. He explains that what happens inside a person is much more important than any building or ritual. But here is the catch, because he also warns that over time, people will twist his words. He says a day will come when people yell his name in the streets, but their hearts are actually very far away. They will build huge temples made of gold and stone, but they will forget the temple that lives inside their own soul. These warnings sound exactly like they could be talking about our world today. Jesus talks about wars and lies being told as the truth. He even says families will start to fall apart. He says darkness will show up when people no longer recognize his voice. One part says, "Blessed are those who suffer in silence." It shows a version of Jesus who walks with the people who are forgotten and unseen but still believe. Another book called the Decoded gives advice on how to live. It says people should live a simple life and stay away from leaders who are greedy or mean. Jesus warns about fake leaders who look holy on the outside but hurt the poor when no one is looking. He says do not be like those who wear fancy robes but take everything from the poor. If these secrets can still change how we see the world, then we have to ask what else is hiding in there. Beyond these warnings lies a fire that was forgotten by the rest of the world. Hidden fire rising from forgotten places. The same writings also talk about a prophecy for the future of what people believe. Jesus says that in the last days his voice will rise up again from places nobody expects. He mentioned it would come from deserts and mountains, and even from the children of those who were once slaves. He says his spirit will talk through the people who are ignored by the powerful. This idea turns the whole image of the church upside down. It means that the truth might not come from the people in charge, but from the humble and the forgotten. Ethiopia has a very long history with this faith, which explains why these books survived. The country has been following these ways since the 4th century, but they were cut off from Rome for hundreds of years. Because of that, they kept a more spiritual and mysterious kind of faith. In these writings, Jesus talks about angels and spirits and how the soul is designed. He tells people to pray with their entire being and not just with words. He says your silence should be louder than any sermon. The people in Ethiopia say there are 3 big reasons why the Western Church did not want these books. First, it was about control. Rome wanted one simple Bible that was easy to manage. Second, it was about the mystery. The Ethiopian books are full of visions and spiritual battles that Western leaders thought were too weird. Third, it was about fear. They were afraid that if people heard these things, they would just follow God directly instead of needing the church to tell them what to do. Some of these texts say that Jesus stayed on the ground for 40 full days after he came back. During that time, he showed them what they call the heavenly scrolls. He taught that angels walk next to every person and that spirits whisper to the mind. He said every single thought you have is either a ladder to heaven or a path to the dark. He also warned that his name would be sold and his image would be changed. When you see how often people use faith to get money today, those words feel very true. But even with all those scary warnings, the books end with a lot of hope. They say Jesus told them that the truth can never really die. He said he is the seed and the sword, and that he will return. These writings show a very different picture of who he was. This version is stronger and more personal than what most people know. This Jesus does not belong to a building or a system. He belongs to the hearts that are actually looking for him. While most of the world forgot his final words, Ethiopia remembered every bit. And maybe that is where the real voice has been waiting, in the quiet places where faith never went away. If these teachings are true, then the spirit inside us is much more powerful than we thought. Awakening spirit within the human heart. The old Ethiopian Bible has lessons that most people have never heard in their life. It tells a deep story about life and what it means to wake up the spirit inside of you. These writings say that after he came back, Jesus shared secret lessons that were never put into the common books. For hundreds of years, monks protected these words because they believed it was the real voice of the teacher. In these books, Jesus says that death is not the end of everything. He says the body is just like a piece of clothing that gets old and wears out, but the spirit stays alive. When the body is gone, the spirit goes back to its real home, which is made of fire and light. His followers were scared when they heard this, but he told them not to be afraid of the end of the body. What they should really fear is living without a spirit. He called this the death that walks while the heart is still beating. That means a person can look alive on the outside, but be totally empty on the inside. Many people lose their connection to the light and fill that empty space with noise and money and pride. They forget that the presence of the Creator lives right inside their own chest. Every single thought and feeling you have has a spiritual power. It can either lift you up or drag you down. Real faith in these books is not about following a bunch of rules, but about waking up the spirit that is already there. Another part of the Bible talks about 2 different creators and a fake world. It says not everything was made by the same good source. There was one creator of true light, but there was also another being who built shadows. This being was full of pride and made a world that looked nice but was not made of spirit. He wanted to rule over it and called himself the only God, but he was blind to the bigger light above him. Because of that, the world got mixed up with beauty and pain and lies. Jesus says he came into this fake world to help people wake up from a bad dream. He told them the light still lives inside everything, even when it is dark. The mission of every soul is to find that spark and bring it back home. Before he left, he gave a final prophecy. He said a time would come when love would go away and faith would just be an act for people to see. People would pray with their mouths, but not their hearts. But he promised his spirit would rise again inside the people who are calm and broken. He said his spirit would go where religion cannot reach. The proud people will not see it, but the broken ones will. They will know him through fire and not through words. This fire is not something that burns the grass or the trees, but it burns away lies and pride. It is the fire of waking up. It cleans the soul and opens the eyes. He said this fire would come back to wake people up to the truth. Many people think this is talking about our time right now, where the world is full of greed, but people are still hungry for something real. The message is very clear. We have built fake gods out of fame and power. We pray in stone buildings, but we forget the living temple in our hearts. Yet even now there are quiet people who carry the real light. They do not wear fancy clothes or look for praise. They live quietly and follow love. Their prayers are what keep the world from falling into total darkness. The heart of it all is simple. The kingdom is not far away. It is inside every person. Every act of kindness and every time you forgive someone helps wake up that light. When people live with love, they become part of a big flame. This kind of faith is not about fear or being controlled, but about making a choice. It tells us that even when there are a lot of lies, the light never dies. The monks who kept these words safe believed they were guarding the living truth. There is a story that goes even further into how a message of peace was hidden from history. Most people around the world believe the same story about what happened in Jerusalem. They say Jesus was betrayed and suffered and then it was over. But far away in Ethiopia, there is another account that shows a totally different image. Some very old papers found there claim that he did not end his life on a cross. Instead, they say he lived quietly and left the city to keep teaching about healing and peace and how to live with nature. This is known as the gospel of peace, and it shows him in a new way. He is shown as a kind and wise teacher instead of someone who has to suffer to save everyone. He talks about love and balance instead of fighting or getting even. According to these books, the way to be truly free is to live a gentle and pure life. Yeah, about that, it makes you wonder if we have been reading the wrong book this whole time. Is it possible that the most important parts of the message were hidden to keep us from finding our own power? Let us know what you think about this secret history in the comments below. If you enjoyed this mystery, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories like this.